Howdy, guys. Welcome to night 35 of Big Brother All Stars. This is Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. Hope y'all had a great Tuesday. It's Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. We had last night or yesterday a lot of stress, fighting, lots of upset people that I covered on yesterday's overnight feed summary. Tonight was a completely different type of situation. Yes, we had some strategy talk, some game talk, etc., but we also were having to deal, unfortunately, with a personal tragedy that we'll get into. But as a result, we saw a little bit different interactions this evening, and I'm going to take you through all of it here in the next 15 minutes. So let's get right into it. First of all, as a bit of a refresher, we've got veto ceremony has already taken place. It was not used. Bailey and Davon are still on the block. One of them will be going home on Thursday. So that's where we're at right now. Some conversations that started, and because of the stuff that happened later, I'm starting off a little bit earlier in the day. But let's talk about in the HOH room. Enzo and Christmas are talking. Enzo is wondering, saying, "How come no one's going after Ian? This guy's smart. He's gonna take this game." Christmas is saying, Davon might now be coming after Ian now that she thinks that that Ian is my untouchable. Well, that could be Christmas, but I think Davon may have some bigger targets in the game right now if she gets HOH and some power. But Ian is being talked about by different groups as potential targets, so he still needs to be a little bit careful. Another conversation. This is in the love room. This is David, Kevin, and Ian, and David is saying, "Man, I just want to win HOH so I can get a letter, some music, and just have absolute safety for a week where I'm not sitting there biting my nails, worried about what's going to happen." Kevin says, "I feel the same way." And they are absolutely right. At that week of safety, if you're HOH, you know that you are not going home for a week. You can relax and just get some confidence built up. It can mean the difference in the way you play this game and the confidence that you play the rest of the game. So, David, I hope you get it, my friend. So we have that conversation. Another conversation in the bathroom. This is Cody. Cody is shaving his forearms. I don't know that I've ever quite done that, but he's shaving his forearms. He's just that kind of night, guys. But again, Cody had a rough night a little bit later, so I'm not going to give him a hard time for his grooming habits, but it caught my attention watching him shaving his forearms. So you do you, Cody. Conversation. This is between Danny and Nicole. Danny, now see if we can keep track of this because it involves a little he said, she said. Danny is saying that Tyler had said that he was going to tell Davon that he made up the claim that Danny was ever coming for Bailey and Davon. She was, or at least she said she was. But she says, "Hey, Tyler said he was going to tell Davon that he made the whole thing up." But then in reality, he told Davon that it actually was true, that she was trying to target Bailey and Davon. As a result, Danny really wants to go after Tyler because he didn't make up. He said that she really was coming after you, Bailey. So Danny's a little upset about that. She's planning to target Tyler supposedly if she gets a chance. She and Nicole are both they are worried that they just don't have the numbers to get Tyler out if they can get him on the block, and I don't think they have him either. Not right now. Tyler's got a lot of protection from different people, but we'll see. But that was interesting that Danny's seeing Tyler as a potential target here. Danny and Nicole are fearful that Cody and Enzo have a final two deal and that they are very tight. One of them mentions they're like brothers. They would never turn on each other. So again, we got a lot of people kind of questioning some other people within their alliances and such, and other auxiliary alliances. We're getting to that part of the game right now, folks. Talk turns to Ian. Nicole, again, turn to Ian. Nicole is worried about Ian on a jury. And I had thought about this viewpoint, but she says, "I'm worried about Ian on a jury because he's not going to necessarily vote to award someone the winner slot that's already won." In other words, Nicole's already won. If Ian's on the jury, she doesn't think that he'll necessarily vote for Nicole to win again. So she's worried about him being on a jury. Both of them are saying that his constant rocking is really stressing them out. Memphis later comes in. This is in the key room. Memphis later comes into the key room, and he complains about Ian's rocking also, which, I don't know, guy, we all have habits that irritate other people, especially when you're in that house 24/7 around the same people for weeks on end. So yeah, it may irritate you a little bit, but chill, people, chill. I'm very much team Ian, and Ian, you do you as well. So, but they're a little perturbed. The main thing is that Ian once again has some conversations coming up about his name. So he's not quite under the radar as he maybe would like to be, but I think he may also be a little bit aware of that as also. Nicole also mentioned, she says, Ian and I aren't as close as we first were before the incident. And I don't know if she's referring to the wall yeller or if she's referring to Ian finding out that Nicole had another alliance that didn't involve Ian. Not real sure what that was, but she's expressing some ideas that she and Ian aren't really tight like they used to be. Is that true or not? I don't know. There may be something to that, but we'll see. Another conversation. This is in the key room. Again, this is Christmas and Danny and Nicole. So Christmas is coming at this point. Christmas is asking Danny and Nicole, saying, hey, has Davon talked to y'all about the Girls Alliance? Yeah, I think that ship has kind of sailed, Christmas. But they say, no, we haven't really talked about that. Christmas is saying that she's not really sure what's upsetting today. That the thing with Tyler, that wasn't about Christmas. That was about Tyler and Davon, and she's not sure why Davon's so upset. Well, I get it. Davon and Bailey saw a path where they both could be saved. It was dependent on Christmas. Christmas chose not to take it. I get it from a game move from Christmas's standpoint, but I also get the disappointment from Bailey and Davon that it didn't happen the way they were keeping their fingers crossed that it would. So I'm trying to be objective here and saying I see both sides of that particular issue, but Christmas is asking about it. Danny's saying, hey, Christmas, if Tyler, and she's saying, Danny's asking Christmas, saying, hey, did Tyler ask to be renamed and put on the block, or renommed and put on the block? And Christmas says, yeah, he mentioned it, but I refuse. I never agreed to do that. Also, Nicole is asking Christmas, saying, look, would you patch things up with Davon just for purposes of the game? Christmas is saying that she'll think about it, but she doesn't want to go after Dave. But as far as patching things up with Dave, she'll think about it. I gotta say, I just don't see the two of them ever working together again for the rest of the season. Certainly, I just don't see them trusting each other. I hope they can. It would be very interesting, and I'd like to see if they could get past what happened last night and do something. I just don't know that I see it happening. But we'll see. All right, another conversation. Now this is nothing to do with gameplay, but it's just funny. Enzo walks by Ian and says, hey, Ian. Ian says, hey, Enzo, man. And they start laughing that every time they pass each other, they act like they haven't seen each other in 5 years, even though they see each other all day, every day. And it's kind of funny. Another conversation. This is in the comic room. Kevin and Davon are talking. Kevin's saying, hey, does Tyler know, I don't know, does someone know about the Tyler situation? I don't even know who I'm talking about here. And she says, yeah, I think Danny, maybe. Does Danny know about the Tyler situation? She says, yeah, but I'm surprised that you know, Kevin. I think everyone knows at this point about Tyler and his trying to put himself up on the block and all of that, and it not working. So I think it's pretty much a house exposed type situation at this point. Upstairs in the lounge room, Cody and Enzo are talking. Cody is saying, hey, Bailey asked me to vote to keep Day. She doesn't want Cody and Enzo to feel like they need to split the vote. So Bailey basically thinks that she's going, and she seems okay with that. She wants to keep Day as much as possible. So yeah, good for Bailey on that. You fight to the very end, but I understand it. Cody also is talking about they're all looking at this next week, and they're wondering, could this be a double eviction? So they want to try to get some targets lined up in case that happens. Cody wants Kevin or David out so that he can then bring Davon potentially in closer to them. Enzo, meanwhile, is saying, I want Nicole or Danny to get HOH and then go after Christmas and Memphis. So he's trying to put different sides against each other. He's also hoping that Danny and Tyler are going to go after each other. At this point, Danny comes up. Cody says if he wins HOH, that he's putting up Kevin and David with Ian as a potential backdoor. He also says that he prefers Kevin to go out because he says Kevin's got a power. He's got one of those secret powers. He doesn't, but Cody thinks he does, or says he thinks he does. Danny says, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I just don't know. Another conversation in the comic room. Kevin is telling Bailey and Davon that this is not game related, but it's just kind of the theme of the night, I guess. Kevin's telling Bailey and Davon that his parents won't acknowledge his gay marriage, that he was outed while he was at church, immediately excommunicated. He also talks about the huge amount of love he feels when he's at home with his hubby. So, again, just a lot of family discussions is kind of the theme of this evening. Conversation, Danny and Memphis are talking about how sick Ian was for the veto competition, but he felt better immediately afterwards, in a much better mood, and suddenly now he's being referred to as Christmas is untouchable. So they're wondering a little bit what's going on with Ian. In the diary room, now this is where we get a little family tragedy. The diary room, Cody gets called in. He's been informed that his grandfather, who apparently was rather sick for a long period of time, but his grandfather passed away. So thoughts and prayers to Cody. The house guests are all rallying around, supporting him. These are real people just playing a game, just a game. I'm glad people can step away and support someone when they are down, and we see this exhibited tonight. Tragic situation, but I'm glad everyone pulled together. Christmas offers Cody the HOH room, but he declines. Later, Ian asks the diary room, says, hey, if I win HOH, could y'all give Cody his family letter instead of me getting mine? That's a big deal. That is a huge deal. So, Ian, thank you for that. Danny and Tyler get together, take some Fruit Loops, spell it out on the kitchen table that you'll see over here, I guess, spelling out Pop Pop, his grandfather. So, everyone's trying to do everything they can to help Cody out through a rough evening. There's lots of experience from the house guests talking about their own experiences losing family members. Some real bonding moments. We've got Enzo talking about losing, I think, his father, and Nicole talked about losing an uncle during season 16. They didn't alert her because they knew she'd leave if it happened. So just a lot of people talking to each other as friends and just real people. It was a nice moment, even though I hate the reason they had to do it. All right, so now a little bit more conversation and gameplay. In the love room, Davon's talking just to the cameras. Davon's daily diary, I'm not sure what she calls it, but talking to the cameras. Davon is saying that she's going to fight hard to stay. Good job, Davon. You fight to the very end. You do everything it takes. So I'm so happy. I'm happy. I want to see what she does with this. I said last night I think she may be stronger once Bailey's out and she doesn't have this assumed connection between the two of them. We'll see. But she also says this girl's alliance that we talked about, night before last, that's fake. I'm not a sucker. There's no way I'm going to continue working with someone who just nominated me. That's not going to happen. So Christmas, the idea of a girls' alliance, I think that ship has sailed. She does say that she's trying to make nice with to whoever she can in order to stay in the game. She's saying how she tried to stay composed during the argument with Christmas yesterday, but that she's a little concerned or says that Christmas is still running around the house, saying she felt like she was being attacked. Davon is talking about just what a tough week this was and how she really has to win HOH this week or else she potentially could end up in a jury house and living with a bunch of people that she just doesn't like. Davon is correct. For a whole lot of people, HOH this Thursday is going to be a huge, huge event. So stay tuned. Thursday is going to be fun. She talks about the only people that she doesn't trust if Bailey is gone. The only people left that she's going to trust are Kevin, Enzo. Those two make sense. But she also mentions Nicole, which is a little bit surprising, but I'd be curious to see if they can put something together. She also says she wants to trust Danny. She's just not sure if she can. We'll see. We'll see how, you never know. Expect the unexpected, right? So she talks about that. She does say, if I win HOH, I'm targeting Tyler and I'm targeting Christmas, and I'm going to try to flush out whatever secret powers they have. She's certain that Christmas has a secret power, which she does. So she wants to either flush a power or get rid of that power by sending Christmas out. So Tyler and Christmas are her two main two main targets. If one of them comes off the block, she says she has a bigger target. She didn't say who that was, but she does say, I'm not playing scared. I can't play scared at this point in the game. I got to take my shots. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm taking my shot. I am not playing scared. Okay, Davon, you got my support. All right, finally in the love room, quick conversation. David's just feeling a little down about his family. Hey, shout out to his mom whose birthday is coming up, I think Thursday. So shout out to David Alexander's mom. Danny comes in, gives him a pep talk. Later, Tyler comes in, gives him a pep talk. He then talks to the cameras about coming into the house, writing himself a letter, the pains and joys he's experienced with Big Brother, just reflecting on everything that's happened. Go, David Alexander. Team David, I hope you do fantastic, my friend. So again, there you go, guys. I'll be back in 24 hours.